The cantina on Kepler 442. The station was filled with smoke and noise from many different alien species, drinking and talking. In the darkest corner of the room, Commander Vextel sat alone at a small table. His 4 purple arms were wrapped around a glass of green liquid that had gone cold hours ago. He stared into the drink like he was looking for something that would never be there. 20 years had passed since the war ended, but the nightmares still came every night. The screams, the explosions, the terrible things humans did when they fought. Other species whispered about it in dark corners, but no one wanted to talk about it openly. No one wanted to remember. A young alien female walked toward his table. She had blue skin and large eyes, and she carried a small recording device in her hand. She looked nervous but determined. "Excuse me, sir," she said, in a quiet voice. "Are you Commander Vextel? My name is Kiranol from the Unity Broadcasting Network. I would like to ask you some questions." Vextel did not look up from his drink. "Go away, please, sir. I am doing a story about the Human-Zephyrian War. People need to know what really happened. You were there from the beginning. You saw everything." I said, "Go away." His voice was rough and tired, like someone who had seen too much death. But Kiranol did not leave. She sat down in the chair across from him. "Sir, it has been 20 years since the fighting stopped. The whole galaxy talks about humans in whispers now. They are afraid to even say their name out loud. What did they do that was so terrible?" Vextel's 4 hands gripped his glass tighter. His eyes, all 4 of them, slowly looked up at her. They were filled with old pain and fear. "You want to know about humans?" he asked. "You want to know what they are really like when they fight?" "Yes, sir, the people have the right to know." Vextel was quiet for a long time. Round them, other aliens laughed and drank, but their table felt like an island of sadness in the middle of all the noise. "Order something strong to drink," he finally said. "This is not a story for children. This is not a story anyone should hear before they sleep." Kiranol quickly called the bartender and ordered 2 glasses of the strongest alcohol they had. Her hands were shaking a little now. She had interviewed many war veterans before, but none of them had looked at her the way Vextel was looking at her now. "We thought we knew everything about war," Vextel began. His voice was soft but filled with old terror. "My people, the Zephyrians, had conquered 47 different worlds, 47 different species. We were good at it. We had rules, patterns, ways of making other species surrender without too much fighting." He took a long drink from his glass. "We would arrive with our big ships and powerful weapons. We would destroy 1 or 2 of their ships to show them how strong we were. Then we would tell them to surrender, and they always did, every single time. It was easy, but not with humans." Kiranol asked, "Humans?" Vextel said the word like it was poison. "We thought they were primitives. They had barely left their home star system. They used old rockets and simple guns that shot metal bullets. Our computers said they would be the easiest conquest we had ever made." He stared at the wall behind her, but his eyes were seeing something from long ago. "I was young then. Just a lieutenant on the flagship. I was excited to be part of another easy victory. I thought we would be home in a few weeks with stories of how weak the humans were." What happened? The first battle was at a human mining station. They had 3 small ships defending it. Old slow ships that our weapons could destroy. We destroyed the first ship in seconds, just like always. We waited for the surrender signal. Vextel's voice became very quiet. But the surrender never came. Instead, the human ship that was damaged and dying did something no other species had ever done in all our wars. Something that still gives me nightmares. What did they do? They turned their broken ship into a weapon. They flew it straight into one of our escort ships. Both ships exploded. The human captain died with a smile on his face, broadcasting a message to every human colony telling them exactly how to hurt us. Kiranol felt cold. "They killed themselves just to damage your ship." That was just the beginning. The other 2 human ships did not run away. They did not surrender. They attacked our flagship, knowing they would die. And they did die, but they fought until their ships were nothing but floating metal. Vextel finished his drink in one long swallow. "That was when I first understood that we were not fighting a normal war anymore. We were fighting something completely different. Something that would change everything we thought we knew about combat." The cantina seemed quieter now, as if the other aliens could sense the dark story being told in the corner. Kiranol realized. Her recording device was shaking in her hands. "Sir, what made them fight that way?" Vextel looked at her with eyes full of old fear. "That is what the rest of this story is about. And I promise you, young reporter, when I am finished, you will understand why the whole galaxy fears the word human." Lieutenant Vextel stood at his station on the bridge of the massive Zephyr warship Dominant Claw. He was young then, with bright purple skin that had not yet been scarred by battle. His 4 arms moved quickly over the control panels as he studied the enemy ships on his screens. Analysis complete. "Fleet Commander," he reported to his superior, "Zephyr, the human ships are very weak. 12 vessels total, mostly old cargo ships. They have changed into fighting ships. Their weapons are simple. They shoot metal bullets instead of energy beams. They have no protective shields around their ships. Fleet Commander Zefter made a clicking sound with his mouthparts. This was how Zephyrians showed they were happy. Perfect. We will use the standard attack plan. Destroy one human ship to show them our power, then tell them to surrender. After that, we take over their space stations. This should be finished before dinner time. The Zephyrians had used this same plan 47 times before. It always worked the same way. Show the enemy how powerful you are, then watch them give up without a real fight. Every species in the galaxy was smart enough to know when they were beaten. The first target was a human mining station called Series 7. It was protected by 3 small human ships. These ships looked like they had been built to carry cargo, not to fight wars. The Zephyrians laughed when they saw them. Begin attack. Fleet Commander Zefter ordered target the largest human ship first. The dominant claws, main weapon fired. A bright beam of energy cut through space and hit the human ship. The beam went through the ship's metal hull like a hot knife through soft butter. Air and flames shot out of the holes in the ship. Direct hit, Vextel reported. The human ship is badly damaged. Their engine room is destroyed. They cannot escape. Now excellent. Now we wait for their surrender message. But the surrender message never came. Instead, something happened that no Zephyrian had ever seen before in all their wars. Sir, Vextel's voice was high with shock. The damaged human ship, it is not trying to escape. It is not sending a surrender signal. It is ... It is flying straight toward us. Everyone on the bridge stopped what they were doing. They stared at the tactical screen in disbelief. The human ship, with huge holes in its hull and fire coming out of its engines, was accelerating directly toward the Zephyrian escort ship, Sharp Talon. That is impossible, Fleet Commander Zefter said. Their ship is dying. Why are they not surrendering? Sir, we are receiving a broadcast from the human ship, the communications officer announced. His voice was confused and frightened. Put it on the speakers. A human voice filled the bridge. It was calm and steady, like someone talking about the weather. This is Captain Junhuo of the mining vessel Nusol. My ship is finished, but I am not. I am transmitting all information about your ships and weapons to every human colony in the system. Every ship you destroy, every person you kill, we will make you pay for it 10 times over. We are not giving up. We are not running away. The Zephyrians watched in horror as the human ship smashed into the Sharp Talon. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The Sharp Talon, which had survived dozens of battles, was completely destroyed by a ship that was already dead. How many crew were on that human ship? Zefter asked quietly. 43, sir. They all died in the collision. They killed 43 of their own people just to destroy one of our ships. The 2 remaining human ships were now moving toward the dominant claw. They were tiny compared to the massive Zephyrian flagship, like insects attacking a giant. But they came anyway, their small weapons firing continuously. Sir, the other human ships are attacking us, Vextel reported. They know they cannot win. They know they will die, but they are still attacking. Why are they not afraid? Zefter wondered aloud. Every other species becomes afraid when they see our power. Every other species runs away or surrenders when they know they cannot win. The second human ship fired all of its missiles at once, then turned to ram the dominant claw. The Zephyrian shields stopped the missiles, and their weapons destroyed the human ship before it could hit them. But again, the humans fought until the very last second. Even as their ship was exploding around them, they kept shooting. The third human ship lasted only 30 seconds longer, but in those 30 seconds, it managed to damage 2 more Zephyrian ships with a desperate attack that should have been impossible. When the battle was over, the bridge of the dominant claw was completely quiet. The Zephyrians had won, but they did not feel like winners. They felt disturbed and confused. Send a message to High Command, Fleet Commander, Zefter ordered. Tell them the human resistance was ... unexpected. Request more ships for the next battle. Sir, how many more ships do we need to defeat them? Zefter looked at the wreckage of the human ships floating in space. 43 humans had died, but they had taken 62 Zephyrians with them. That should have been impossible. I do not know, he admitted. I do not understand these humans at all. Young Lieutenant Vextel stared at his screen, watching the pieces of the human ships drift away. Something cold was growing in his stomach. For the first time in his life, he was afraid of an enemy they had defeated. Commander Vextel stood in the war room of his new ship, the Relentless Fang. He had been promoted after his old commander died in the 3rd month of fighting. The war that was supposed to end in days had now been going on for almost a year. The walls around him were covered with maps and battle reports that told a story no Zephyrian wanted to believe. Report, he ordered his intelligence officer, a thin alien with nervous eyes. Sir, the humans are not fighting like any enemy we have seen before. They are using their cargo ships as bombs. They fill them with explosives and fly them straight into our fleets. Yesterday, they sent 17 ships at us with no crew inside, just computers programmed to explode when they hit us. Vextel looked at the tactical display. What had once been a simple star system was now filled with red warning marks. Every human space station, every colony, every ship was now considered dangerous. What about their factories? That is the problem, sir. They do not have factories anymore. They have weapons-making centers. The humans have turned their mining equipment into bomb makers. Their construction robots now build missiles instead of buildings. Even their medical stations are making poison gas. Another officer spoke up from across the room. Sir, we intercepted a human transmission yesterday. A mother was teaching her 5-year-old daughter how to make explosives from household chemicals. The child was taking notes. Vextol felt sick. In all their previous wars, civilians had stayed out of the fighting. They were not supposed to be part of the battle. That was how civilized species fought wars. Surely they still respect some rules of war, he said. What about their medical ships? The intelligence officer looked uncomfortable. Sir, 3 days ago we found a human medical ship treating wounded soldiers while under attack. They were broadcasting surgical instructions to civilian ships, teaching regular people how to treat battle wounds. We destroyed the medical ship to stop the transmission. Good, at least we stopped that. No sir, we did not. When we destroyed their medical ship, the humans launched attacks on 7 of our medical facilities. They sent this message with the attacks. You made medical ships into targets. Now all medical ships are targets. No more safe zones. Vextol stared at the officer. Medical facilities had been safe in every war for thousands of years. It was the most basic rule of civilized fighting. No one attacked hospitals or medical ships ever. They attacked our medical facilities. Yes, sir. And they broadcast the attacks to every human colony with the message that medical facilities are now part of the war. They said if we do not respect medical ships, then medical ships do not exist anymore. A communications officer ran into the room, breathing hard. Sir, urgent transmission from the human colony ship Busan. They are demanding to speak with you. Directly, put it on screen. The face that appeared was young and female, maybe 25 years old. Her name tag said Captain Minesio. She looked directly at Vextol with calm, steady eyes. Commander Vextol, she said, I am Captain Minesio, of the colony vessel Busan. We are carrying 15,000 civilians, including 3,000 children, under the age of 10. What do you want? Vextol asked. We also have enough antimatter explosives on board to destroy your flagship and everything within 50 kilometers of it. We want to make a deal. The entire war room went silent. Vex could hear his own heart beating. You are threatening to kill your own civilians. I am not threatening anything. I am telling you facts. Our families volunteered to be here. The children voted on it in their schools. If you do not leave our system immediately, we will ram our ship into yours. 15,000 humans will die, but so will 20,000 Zephyrians. The choice is yours. Vextol looked at his tactical officer. The man nodded. The human ship was indeed on a collision course with their flagship, and sensors showed massive amounts of antimatter in its cargo holds. You would kill your own children. Our children would rather die free than live as slaves. They told us this themselves. The oldest is 16. The youngest is 4. They all voted the same way. The transmission ended. The human colony ship continued flying straight toward the Zephyrian flagship. Sir, what are your orders? The tactical officer asked. Vextol watched the human ship approach. Inside were thousands of families who had decided together that death was better than surrender. Parents and children who were willing to become a weapon together. Change course. Avoid the human ship. Sir, I said, change course. Move us away from them. The relentless Fang turned and moved away from the colony ship. The humans did not follow. They had made their point and returned to their previous course. Sir, intelligence reports that the humans have armed 90% of their civilian ships this way. They are using their own families as weapons. Vextol sat down heavily in his command chair. How do you fight an enemy that uses their own children as ammunition? I do not know. Sir, get me a direct line to high command. Tell them we need to talk about ending this war. Sir, we are winning. Our forces control most of the human territories. No, Vextol said quietly. We are not fighting humans anymore. We are fighting ghosts who have already decided to die. And you cannot win a war against people who consider death a victory. The Battle of Europa was the longest and bloodiest fight of the entire war. Commander Vextol stood in what was left of the Zephyrian command center, looking at the destruction. Around him, broken equipment sparked and smoked. The walls were covered with scorch marks from human weapons. Dead Zephyrians lay under white sheets in the corner, but they had won. Finally, after 3 months of fighting in the tunnels and corridors of the human space station, the last human defender had fallen. The victory felt hollow and wrong, like poison in his mouth. Bring in the prisoners, he ordered. The door opened and Zephyrian guards brought in 6 human prisoners. Vextol expected to see broken, defeated enemies like he had seen in every other war. Instead, he saw something that made his blood run cold. The humans held their heads high. Their eyes burned with anger and hate, but not the kind of hate that comes from losing a battle. This was something deeper and more frightening. These humans looked at their captors like they were already dead. The youngest prisoner was a girl. who could not have been more than 16 years old. Her uniform was torn and bloody, but she stood straight and proud. When she saw Vextal, she smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "You must be the famous Commander Vextal," she said in perfect Zephyrian language. "My name is Jin. I have been looking forward to meeting you. You speak our language well for someone so young. All human children learn your language now. We learn about your species, your culture, your weaknesses. We have been preparing for this war since we were babies." Vextal SAD, a nervous young officer named Keftal, stepped forward with a datapad. "Sir, the interrogation results are ready. What did you learn?" "Sir, these humans, they are not fighting for land or resources like other species do. They believe we want to kill every human in the galaxy. That is foolish. We follow standard occupation procedures. We take control of their territory, but we do not kill entire species. Sir, they know about the Cathrian extinction. They know about what happened to the Molter people. They know about every species we have completely destroyed in the past." Vextal felt something cold settle in his stomach. "How do they know about those operations? Those records are classified. They have been watching us for years. Sir, long before we knew they existed, they studied every war we fought, every species we conquered. They know exactly what we do to civilizations that will not surrender." The human girl, Hyjin, laughed. "You want to know what we learned about you? We learned that you do not just conquer worlds, you erase them. When a species fights too hard, you kill every man, woman, and child. You turn their planets into empty rocks. That only happens when there is no other choice." "Exactly, and we decided long ago that we would never give you that choice. We would rather die fighting than let you decide our fate." Keftal showed Vextal his datapad. On the screen were intercepted human communications from the past year, messages between families, between colonies, between their military leaders. "Sir, listen to this recording. It is from a human mother talking to her 8-year-old son. The voice was gentle and loving, the way a mother speaks to her child. Remember, Hyenwu, the aliens want to kill all humans everywhere. If they catch you, they will kill you anyway. So if the aliens come to our home, you must fight them. Use the explosives we taught you about. Make them pay for every step they take. Die like a human, not like a slave." Vextal stared at the datapad. She is teaching her child to commit suicide rather than surrender. "It gets worse, sir. Every human colony has been rigged with antimatter charges. If they lose the war, they plan to destroy every human world themselves. They would rather see their entire civilization burn than let us rule over the ashes." Another recording played. This one was from Human Military Command. "All colonies, this is General Taehyun. If Earth falls, activate Protocol 7. Destroy everything. Leave the aliens nothing but empty space and radiation. Make them remember that humans chose extinction over slavery." The human girl was still smiling. "You cannot win this war, Commander. Even if you kill every human soldier, even if you destroy every human ship, we have already won." "How?" "Because you taught us to be like you. You showed us that the only way to survive in this galaxy is to be willing to destroy everything. And now we are willing to destroy everything, including ourselves." Vextal walked to the window and looked out at the ruins of Europa Station. Human defenders had fought in these corridors for 3 months, using homemade weapons and traps made from mining equipment. They had fought until every last person was dead, and even then they had rigged the station to explode if the Zephyrians tried to use it. "Sir, what are your orders regarding the prisoners?" Vextal was quiet for a long time. Outside the window, he could see the wreckage of human ships floating in space. Each one had fought until it was completely destroyed. No human ship had ever retreated. No human soldier had ever surrendered. "Release them," he said finally. "Sir, let them go. Send a message to High Command. Tell them we are not fighting a war anymore. We are fighting a species that has decided to become extinct rather than lose. And there is no way to defeat an enemy that considers death a victory." The human girl's smile grew wider as the guards removed her restraints. "Thank you, Commander. This has been very educational." Commander Vextal sat back in his chair at the cantina, his forehands shaking slightly as he reached for his empty glass. The young reporter, Kiranel, watched him with wide eyes, her recording device still running. Around them, the other aliens in the bar seemed to sense the dark mood at their table and kept their distance. "So how did the war end?" she asked quietly. Vex stared at the table for a long moment. It did not end the way wars are supposed to end. There was no surrender, no peace treaty, no victory celebration. It just ... stopped. "What do you mean?" "The High Command called me to the flagship 3 days after Europa Station fell. I thought they were going to give me a medal for winning the battle. Instead, they showed me intelligence reports that made my blood freeze." He signaled the bartender for another drink. "The humans had been busy while we were fighting. They had turned every single one of their colonies into a bomb. Not just weapons, the entire planets were rigged to explode. If we invaded Earth, they would detonate everything. Every human world, every space station, every ship. They would commit species suicide rather than let us win. Kiranel felt sick. All of them agreed to this. That was the worst part. It was not their government making this decision, it was the people themselves. We intercepted a vote from a human colony called New Busan. The question was simple. Should we destroy our world if the aliens try to take it? The vote was 97% yes. Even the children voted yes. The reporter's hands trembled as she held her recording device. But surely your commanders could have found another way. The final decision came after we intercepted one last human transmission. It was from Earth, from the capital city of Seoul. The city was surrounded by our forces, about to fall. We expected a surrender message. Vextel's voice became very quiet. Instead, we got a message from a human child. Her name was Gion. She was 8 years old, sitting in a destroyed building with bombs falling around her. She looked directly into the camera and spoke to us. What did she say? She said, "My name is G and I am 8 years old. You killed my parents, you killed my friends, you destroyed my school, but you did not win. You will never win. We are not your enemies because we chose to be. We are your enemies because you made us your enemies. We will remember this forever. Our children will remember. Our children's children will remember. And someday, when you think you are safe, when you think you have forgotten about us, we will come for you." The cantina seemed to grow quieter around them. Even the noise from other tables seemed muffled. "She was just a child," Kiranel whispered. That child spoke for her entire species. After that transmission, the High Command held an emergency meeting. They realized that even if we won the war, even if we killed every human, we would have created something worse than an enemy. We would have created a legend. A legend. Think about it. Every other species in the galaxy would hear the story of the humans who chose to die, rather than surrender. Every conquered people would remember that it was possible to say no to the Zephyrians. The humans would become martyrs, and martyrs are more dangerous than living enemies. Vextel took a long drink. So the High Command made a decision that no Zephyrian commander had ever made before. We withdrew. We pulled back all our forces and left human space completely. Just like that. Just like that. We told ourselves it was a strategic withdrawal, but everyone knew the truth. We had been beaten by a species that was willing to lose everything rather than give up. The reporter leaned forward. But the war was 20 years ago. Surely things have changed since then. Vextel laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Changed. Look around this cantina. Do you see any Zephyrians here besides me? Do you know why? No, because we are afraid, all of us. The humans kept their promise. They remembered. They spread out into the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as traders and explorers. They built new colonies, made friends with other species, shared their technology. They became the good guys. That sounds positive. You do not understand. The humans are still out there, still growing stronger. And every Zephyrian knows that they have not forgotten what we did to them. That little girl, Ji Yun, she is 28 years old now. She has children of her own, and she has been teaching them about the war, just like her parents taught her. Vextel stood up to leave, dropping some coins on the table to pay for his drinks. The humans do not need to attack us anymore. They won the war without firing another shot. We live in fear of them, while they live their lives in peace. Every day, we wonder if today is the day they decide to come for us. Do you think they will? I do not know. But I know this, the humans taught us something that no other species ever could. They showed us that there are things worse than death. They showed us that some enemies cannot be defeated because they refuse to be defeated. He walked toward the exit, then stopped and looked back at the young reporter. You want to know the real horror of fighting humans? It is not that they are stronger than us, or smarter than us, or more advanced than us. The horror is that they are willing to become monsters to protect what they love. And once you make someone into a monster, you can never make them human again. As the cantina door closed behind him, Kiranel sat alone in the booth, staring at her recording device. She finally understood why no one wanted to talk about the human Zephyrian war. Some enemies were too terrifying to remember, and too dangerous to forget.